News show, guys. This is so shocking. I can't believe I'm reporting this on the channel, but the House Republican leaders, leaders, Mike Johnson, have canceled votes for the rest of the week after a group of GOP lawmakers staged a rebellion on the floor, bringing legislative action to a screeching halt. They were supposed to vote on the Rogue Judges Act. They were supposed to vote on the SAVE Act. They were supposed to move the budget reconciliation bill forward this week, and all that's done, and everybody's literally going home. This makes no sense. 9 Republicans joined all the Democrats in opposing a procedural rule that would have killed a bipartisan effort to allow proxy voting for new parents. Guys, how many times do people have kids? It's not all the time. But the vote blocked all these planned other votes in this week, and Trump is furious. We have a limited time. We're trying to get things done. Mike Johnson is dropping the ball because he won't let somebody who just had a baby vote from their home. And when I show you the ridiculousness of what has just happened, guys, Mike Johnson is being called out by a lot of people. This is infuriating. And he even came out and said, the rule being brought down means that we can't have any further action on the floor this week. That means we will not be voting on the SAVE Act for election integrity. We will not be voting on the Rogue Judges Act, who have been attacking the President Trump's agenda. And we will not be taking down the terrible Biden policies with the CRA votes. He says, we're not doing anything. We're just going to cancel this entire week and everybody's going to go home. When you hear, and I show you the receipts, guys, this literally makes Mike Johnson look idiotic. Because he said, well, it's unconstitutional to vote for home. I agree, but dang it, if you just had a baby, I think that's an okay, an exception. And we're not even talking about like, oh, you had a baby 3 months ago, 4 months ago. It's like, no, you just had a baby 2-3 weeks ago. Hey, things happen. We also have it where, guys, this is huge breaking news, guys. There have been a lot of attacks on Elon Musk and his dealerships and his companies. Well, guess what? Elon Musk has come out and explicitly said he knows who is orchestrating the Tesla attacks. He said they are working with the D.O.G.E. to hold these people accountable. And Musk said there are people with a lot of money. And they are not exempt from being put in jail, facing the public for their domestic terrorist attacks. Guys, this is big. You don't mess with the guy who's got literally the most money in the entire world held by one person and not expect things to be revealed. But I'm glad they are. And when we see this, guys, he said, you'll be shocked. You will be shocked because this person has a lot of money and we want the DOJ to handle this. I love the transparency. I'm blown away and shocked by Mike Johnson's spineless back. But I'm telling you this, Trump said he's furious. They're trying to get things done. And now they're literally, all Congress people are going home for a whole week. Are you kidding me? Guys, we got a lot of breaking news to jump into tonight. I want to say thank you to all of our subscribers who are watching, to all of our viewers who are watching. If you're not subscribed, please consider joining our TrueLife News family so that we can serve you every day with the top news. Guys, we're here to bust our butts to give you the best show possible with all the breaking news. I want to say thank you to all of our members of the channel. Thank you so much to everybody that gives a super chat donation. Guys, we're so grateful for your support. And want to say thank you, guys. If you want to be a member, the link is in the description to join. We're here to serve you. We take this money. You see us donate it live to charity online. And we just want to be fully transparent to know that this whole channel is more than just reporting news. I want to say thank you to everybody. If you don't mind doing us a huge favor of hitting that thumbs up like button. Guys, we appreciate your support. I'm going to show you the entire story. You're not going to see it on mainstream media, guys. But this right here, House cancels rest of votes for the week after GOP floor rebellion. I want you to see the story, guys, because I'm telling you what, something is going on to try to stop Trump. Check this out.
Well, it's a very disappointing result on the floor there. A handful of Republicans joined with all the Democrats to take down a rule that's rarely done. It's very unfortunate in this case. 96% of House Republicans voted against proxy voting because they believe it's unconstitutional and they agree that it would open a Pandora's box. And so that's what we just saw. Let me just make this clear. That rule being brought down means that we can't have any further action on the floor this week. That means we will not be voting on the SAVE Act for election integrity. We will not be voting on the rogue judges who are attacking President Trump's agenda. We will not be taking down these terrible Biden policies with the CRA votes. All that was just wiped off the table. It's very unfortunate. We'll regroup and come back, and we'll have to do this again.
Mr. Speaker, were you asking for too much?
All right, guys, you just heard Speaker Johnson's side. All right, let me tell you this. You got to know the whole story, because what I'm about to show you next, this is what's actually going on behind the scenes, and you're seeing the whole story.
For a while, we've had the majority and we've had the ability to bring legislation to the floor on election integrity and also to call out rogue judges. And yet they chose at this point in time to tie this discharge petition killer to this rule that would also permanently paint me and the members supporting it. And I would like to also share that I'm one of the most conservative members of this body. I'd like to hold up my voting record to anyone else as not just being anti-election integrity, but also enabling a position that I don't typically agree with. That in itself, I would say in this entire process has been the most disappointing, especially from among my party.
So you see that, guys? They want to cry about, oh, we can't do this and we can't do this. And she's like, what are you talking about? We've had the majority. We could have brought this last week. We could have brought it the week before. But why is it that you're now trying to tie all these different bills and all these different stipulations to a thing, and then when nobody agrees on everything, oh, we're just going to cancel everything for the entire week? It's all a bunch of you know what, guys. But this is holding these people accountable. Trump is furious right now with what you just saw. This makes no sense. We're trying to get voter election integrity. We're trying to make sure that Trump's agenda gets passed when it comes to these rogue judges. But now everybody gets to go home. Makes no sense. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, because I'm telling you this. Somebody needs to be held accountable. Mike Johnson needs to figure out what the heck is going on, and he needs to grow a spine. You cannot allow this type of stuff where nobody works. Are you kidding me? Guys, and what I love too is no matter what, at least we know Doge is working. At least we know that Elon Musk is working. Check this out.
President Trump's tech support, Elon Musk, has been shaking up Washington with his Doge crusade to cut government waste as he becomes public enemy #1 for the Democrats, who are hell-bent on destroying his companies and making him the boogeyman of tonight's special elections. One of those races, Musk says, could affect the destiny of humanity. The billionaire has been rallying voters in Wisconsin to get behind conservative Brad Schimmel in today's high-stakes Supreme Court race. Elon Musk joins us now for an exclusive interview. Thank you so much for joining us, Elon. We are thrilled to have you on the Five.
Thank you for having me.
We're delighted to have you. So why is this race in Wisconsin so important? And what is your response to Democrats who've tried to make tonight's elections a referendum on you?
Well, the reason tonight's elections are so important is that the judge race will decide whether the Wisconsin districts get redrawn. They're going to try to gerrymander Wisconsin to remove 2 Republican seats. And as you know, the House is currently Republican by a razor-thin margin, which means that losing this judge race has a good chance of causing Republicans to lose control of the House. If you lose control of the House...
And guys, we just want to confirm that Randy Fine has already won in Florida. So this is good news. Now we're just worried about Wisconsin. You know what they do in Wisconsin. We saw all them trucks, all them ballots, guys. I'm telling you, this is going to be crazy. If you appreciate this, guys, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support.
There will be nonstop impeachment hearings. There will be nonstop hearings and subpoenas. And they're going to do everything possible to stop the agenda that the American people voted for when they voted for President Trump with a popular vote and the House and the Senate in November, they're going to do everything possible to stop the president's agenda. And so it's incredibly important that people in Wisconsin go out and vote right now, contact their friends and family, contact their neighbors, and take them to the polling stations, which close at 8 p.m. Tonight. You can actually register to vote and vote today. It's an extremely tight race. This is a race that will be decided by maybe 0.5% or 1%. It's really neck and neck. And so this could be decided by a single voter, potentially. That's how close it is.
Dang.
And if you know people in Wisconsin, call them right now and ask them to go and vote. And again, ask them to bring their friends, their family, their neighbors. This is a crucial election. There is also a ballot initiative to enshrine voter ID in the Wisconsin Constitution, which is essential for election integrity.
Okay. You know, the interesting part of that is for years, people have never really understood, Elon, you know, the significance of this Wisconsin State Supreme Court race. But you make it very clear in terms of gerrymandering and the attempt then obviously to change the number of people, congressional seats in Wisconsin. So thank you for that. So we're going to go around the table and continue to ask some questions. So I'll start with you, Greg Gutfeld.
All right, Elon, great to see you, as always. I have two questions.
Yeah.
I have two questions. One, I've noticed in the past you seem incapable of being risk averse. If you see something you want to try, you try it. And so I'm wondering, what kind of advice would you give to a young person whose fear of failure keeps them from taking risks that would actually enrich their lives, whether it's career or personal life? And my next question is, when the hell are you doing my show? I've left voicemail messages. I've sent carrier pigeons. I get no response.
Well, I'll be happy to do your show. I've seen pieces of your show, and it's very funny. Actually, it's my style of humor, so I look forward to doing your show.
Awesome.
With respect to what to tell young people, I think it's always good when thinking about something that you're afraid of. When thinking about fear, look fear straight in the eye, and it will disappear.
Okay. All right.
The nature of fear is that people don't look at it.
Yeah.
Look at it directly, and it will be gone.
Let's go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good advice. All right, Jesse.
Jessica, look at me. Look at me. Face your fears, Jessica. Elon, how are you? I'm Jesse Waters. Good to see you. I'm not going to beg for you to come on my show. I know it'll happen eventually. You said the other day you uncovered some evidence that there was massive Social Security fraud and that arrests were imminent.
Yes.
What can you tell us about that? And what can you tell us about what you've seen politicians do to make massive amounts of money off of the federal government, like Nancy Pelosi? Please.
Yes. So we've encountered. There's really so much for it. It's deciding what should be prosecuted first, because it's such a long list. You have to actually prioritize the list. We convey the list to the Department of Justice. The D.O.G.E. has a process that they go through to review and think about it. The wheels of justice turn slowly. In fact, obviously, I have a maniacal sense of urgency. So to me, when I see that terrible fraud has happened, I'm like, why haven't we arrested someone already?
Right.
But as the saying goes, the wheels of justice turn slowly but surely. And I think probably the person that stole 400,000 Social Security numbers, at least, maybe more, will be arrested hopefully this week.
Wow.
And, with respect to...
Guys, look at this. I saw this earlier. I wanted to get more data on it because this is huge. A scammer stole 400,000 American Social Security numbers. Do you know, even if they got, oh my goodness, payments from that, how much that would be? We're talking about tens of millions of dollars, guys, because our systems are so inadequate, not verifiable, easily manipulated to the point where somebody can do something like this. And this is what the Democrats don't want us to catch. This is a dang shame.
The non-governmental organizations, these sort of fake NGOs, I think there needs to be a number of arrests in that regard as well, because these are fake charities where mostly Democrats, almost, well, I don't want to be clear. There's sometimes a little bit of Republican in there because they sometimes throw the Republicans a bone to say, hey, be quiet about this. So that's where you start getting the uniparty thing going on. But it is overwhelmingly to Democrats, and they give these give billions of dollars to NGOs run by Democrats that then go through a whole network of additional NGOs. It's a giant money laundering scheme. Really, at this point, I think the word NGO and money laundering are almost synonymous.
Wow.
Okay.
Thank you.
Makes sense to me. Kennedy?
Hello, Judge. And hello, Elon. Welcome to the Five. Great to talk to you. So let's talk a little bit about some of the anti-Tesla violence. Your car company was...
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it was a leftist dream come true. It was technologically advanced. It was the word of mouth was better than any car company, arguably, on the market. And now the left is trying to make it a pariah by tying their anti-Elon politics to violence. How do you talk the unhinged off the ledge? And how do you counter that violence that you're seeing at Tesla dealerships?
Yes, it is remarkable that there is so much violence. People have burned cars, they've fired bullets into dealerships, they've scratched swastikas into Teslas of the innocent people that they're just going about their lives. They've done nothing wrong. And Tesla's done nothing wrong as a company. And so I find it ironic and incredibly hypocritical that the same Democrat politicians who would want to throw someone in prison for 20 years simply for watching things at January 6th, but not actually doing any violence, you don't hear a single word from them about the actual violence happening against Tesla. What incredible hypocrites they are. It's outrageous. I mean, this is fundamentally a case of terrorism.
Yes.
It's wide-scale domestic terrorism with the purpose of intimidation, and it's harming innocent people. It's really terrible. And I think what we actually have to get to are the people who are organizing and paying for these attacks and protests. That's who we really need to go after.
Yes.
Because the people who are actually throwing the Molotov cocktails, they are the foot soldiers. But we need to go after the generals, and we're going to do so. The president has made it very clear that we're going to go after those that are paying and organizing these violent attacks. And Attorney General Bondi has said the same thing. I believe that is exactly what will happen.
Do you know who they are?
We're coming for them.
Do you know who those generals are?
We know. We do.
Yes. And
all right, guys, you just heard him. He said, do you know who the generals are who are coordinating all the terrorist attacks, these domestic terrorist attacks? He says we do. Guys, I'm telling you, all the stuff that I'm seeing on my stuff, they're literally working with the DOJ right now to hold these people. And I'm talking about they got some really hard cash to hold them accountable before everybody. Everybody's going to see that these rich, and they are Democrats, are funding these domestic terrorists, and they're going to be brought before justice. Thank you so much, Elizabeth Raincourt, for the super chat. Let's go. Said Musk just recovered data. Rhinos need time to regroup and cover their tracks. Wow. Y'all show Elizabeth some love in the chat. And if you appreciate this, guys, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support.
hopefully the prosecution will be for RICO and an organized criminal enterprise, which makes the penalties even more serious. And now to Jessica.
Yes, absolutely. These are serious crimes where the organizers and pushers of mass violence will go to prison for a very long time.
That's right. Okay.
And I hope they see this segment.
Ooh.
Well, we'll play it again. Jessica.
Let's go.
Okay, well, liberal Tesla lover here. My sister has two in her family, so have not thrown any Molotov cocktails recently, but I wanted to
Thanks.
talk to you about what Doge has been doing. So you've been making cuts to a lot of the agencies that have open investigations and regulatory battles with your companies. At the same time, you continue to get billions in government contracts. Tesla gets billions in subsidies. How do you explain that to the American people?
Well, everything that Doge does is an open book. So I think, the most transparent the most transparent organization in government ever. Every single Doge action is listed on the Doge.gov website. It's also listed on the X handle. So if anyone has a concern about any one of those actions, they can bring that up. They can raise that. And I do want to say, like, sometimes we make a mistake. Nobody bats 1,000. We will at times make a mistake, but we'll act very quickly to correct it. I am under such an extreme spotlight, so much scrutiny, that it's literally impossible for me to get away with anything nefarious. And obviously, nor do I wish to. So this is a case where we have radical transparency. We're actually willing to admit that we do make mistakes. Often people are not willing to admit they make mistakes, but we are. But we want to emphasize we fix them quickly, and we're trying to do the right thing for the American taxpayer, for the American people. And I think history will be the judge that what we've done here and what we're doing is a very good thing for the strength and future of America.
Okay. So, Elon, for one last time, why don't you remind the viewers why the election in Wisconsin is so important to America as well as the Trump agenda?
Absolutely. So the reason that, because it does seem like, why isn't this rather a small thing? And it's happening, ironically, of course, on April Fool's Day. This is not an April Fool's joke. This is very real. So a judge race election in Wisconsin will decide whether or not the Democrats can gerrymander Wisconsin in order to remove 2 House seats from Republican to Democrat. Because of the razor-thin margins in the House, that would mean potentially a flip of the House from Republican to Democrat. That means at the next election, roughly less than 2 years from now, the House will then immediately take action to stop the president's agenda. And it's always worth reminding people the president was elected with a majority of the people of America, a meaningful majority of the popular vote. So all the president is trying to do is implement the will of the people. And they're trying to stop the will of the people through judicial trickery.
Ooh.
And in fact, in general, there is a huge problem with activists that are actually politicians in judges' robes. And that needs to stop. It's undermining the integrity, the reality, and the perception of the integrity of the legal system of the United States. And these fake judges should be ashamed of themselves. They're just pretending to be judges, but they're making the law instead of implementing the law.
Wow.
It's wrong.
Yes, and they're activists. And you say that you can both register and vote today?
Guys, let me tell you this. This is all so intentional by Musk that he says what he just said. The judges are supposed to enforce the law. They're not supposed to make the law. And that's what they're doing right now. They're literally trying to make up these TROs as laws to control the sitting president. Makes no sense. The amount of just combativeness that is coming from these judges towards Trump. And it's literally disgusting that the Supreme Court hasn't stepped in already. It's mind-blowing, guys. But I want to bring you the receipts because this, to me, is what this channel is all about. But I first want to say thank you so much, Michelle Lindsay, for the super chat. Let's go. Said this is for the charity and happy birthday, Ruth F. Let's go. Y'all show Michelle some love in the chat as well as say happy birthday to Ruth. Let's go. So, Elon Musk, we showed you earlier, says the Institute of Peace wiped terabytes of data to cover their crimes. Well, guess what? Doge just released the actual numbers of what happened. And check this out. The United States Institute of Peace, which I would say they sucked at, because we, under Biden, we didn't have peace whatsoever, received $55 million in congressional taxpayer funds. Prior management would sweep excess funds into its private endowment with zero congressional oversight. In the past 10 years, USIP has transferred $13 million to its private endowment, mainly used for private events and travel. USIP contracts, they're now canceled. $132,000 to Mohammed Qasim Halimi, an ex-Taliban member who was Afghanistan's former chief of protocol. $2.2 million to an outside accountant who attempted to delete over 1 terabyte of accounting data, now recovered after new leadership entered the building. $1.3 million to the Al-Tarhamun Iraqi League for the Youth, and $675,000 for private aviation services. This is what they don't want us to catch, guys. This is showing that the Congress people that have been in there are corrupt. It makes me so mad, guys, because it hurts my heart when I think about how many dang seniors and people and kids and families need this money to literally not just, they're living in poverty right now, under $1,000 in Social Security, and they willy-nilly just, private planes, private events, all this luxury living, when it's not even their own dang money and they didn't work for it, but they make sure that you pay into it. That's why what I'm about to show you next, guys, is there is change coming, and even CNN cannot deny it. Check this out.
Holy Toledo. Voters' views of the Democrats in Congress among all voters disapprove 68%. And look at the approved number, just 21%, even lower than the Democratic Party at large. This is the lowest on record for Democrats, according to Quinnipiac University polling. You think these numbers are bad? Let's go to this side of the screen. We'll look how Democratic voters feel. Get this. The plurality of Democratic voters disapprove of Democrats in Congress at 49%, and just 40% approve. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Oh, my goodness gracious, you just can't get worse than these numbers.
And this is the number right.
Do you see that, guys? That is bad. That just tells you we don't trust the people, our politicians, these people in Congress, these people at D.C., they're all corrupt. We need to drain the dang swamp.
Here really driving all of this. If Democrats have turned, if Democratic voters have turned on Democrats in Congress and the Democratic Party, that's what puts the numbers at historic lows. What is it they want to be seeing, these voters?
What is going on? I'll tell you what's going on. They don't like what's coming out of some of those Senate Democrats like Chuck Schumer, because take a look at the direction of the party. Democratic voters on Democrats in Congress doing too little to oppose Donald Trump. Look at this, 77%. Should stay principled, even if it means nothing gets done in Washington, D.C., 65%. And this 65% is such a difference from where we were in 2017 at this point, when just 33% of Democrats say they should stay principled, compared to 59% who said they want to compromise. Democrats do not want compromise at this point. They want a fighter. They want to go into the ring like Muhammad Ali did against Sonny Liston. They want to take down the Republicans. They do not want this compromise anymore. They want to be more like Republicans, can get up to that stage and fight. And right now they feel like their leaders in Congress are simply put not doing so. And that is why their approval rating for congressional Democrats is at an all-time low, even among Democrats with more disapproving than approving.
Yeah, it seems that these Senate Democrats, some of them are banking on the idea that there is still a political middle, as it were. We will see. We will see.
We will see if there's a political middle, but at this point, count me skeptical that that is at least what the Democratic base wants at this point. It's going to be very interesting, John, to see moving forward whether or not there are any repercussions come 2026, because I bet there may be some coming.
Harry M., thank you.
Thank you, my friend.
Sarah?
Guys, I'm telling you, people are fed up. Like, you feel it. And, you know, this came out. Elon Musk just said that Elon Musk says he knows who is orchestrating the Tesla attacks. Guys, it is so shocking what is happening. I'm glad they're getting down to the very details of what and who is orchestrating all this craziness, because they need to be held accountable. But I'm telling you guys, this right here is infuriating Trump right now. This right here is just like, what the heck is going on? The House has just canceled meeting for the entire week. Everybody go home, take a mini vacation. Because what happened? They wouldn't vote, so that they wanted to vote by proxy. They try to throw in all these bills. Mike Johnson gets mad. Republican leadership, Republicans, called to cancel. So they're not voting on the SAVE Act. They're not voting on the Rogue Judges Act. They're not voting on removing Biden's stuff. This is the actual thing that they're fighting about right here, that was thrown into the system, into these bills to be voted on, and that's why it was all voted down. But the resolution authorizes proxy voting in the House of Representatives for members who given birth or spouse has given birth, and pregnant members who are unable to travel safely or have serious medical conditions. The proxy designation is valid for up to 12 weeks. You're telling me they couldn't agree on this dang thing right here? It's not like everybody in Congress is having babies. But this is what is held up, what you are seeing on the screen, them from doing all these votes this week. This is what has kept Mike Johnson from having a backbone to say, hey, you know what? It's okay. Y'all don't all, nobody's all having babies like crazy. We're just going to be cool with this. If you have a baby, if something's happened, serious medical condition, you can vote from home. This is utterly ridiculous, guys. And a lot of people are mad and saying, Mike Johnson, you are purposefully trying to keep some of this stuff from being voted upon. And a lot of people want to say, you know what? It's time for this dude to go. Let me know your thoughts. Guys, if you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, I want to show you some more stuff about what's going on, guys, because it's getting crazy. The Democrats, I'm telling you, they're blatantly coming out and saying they want illegals to vote. Check this out.
Attempts to subvert American elections, the most important issue, arguably, of our time. I mentioned the SAVE Act and the angle, and the GOP bill that would require proof of citizenship to vote is stalled temporarily, but it's a measure that is wildly popular among Americans. And of course, the party responsible for flooding the country with, what, 15 million, who's counting, illegals in 4 years? Well, party that spends its time fighting to keep MS-13 members from deportation, they're outraged by voter ID. This is an affront to humanity. It's racist. Imagine requiring individuals who must show an ID to board a plane to show an ID to exercise their sacred right to vote. I mean, Democrats are basically saying, how can minorities and women be expected to handle that burden?
Current law already says individuals that are not citizens do not have a right to vote. This bill puts in jeopardy the ability of women to be able to register and vote.
The SAVE Act would force American citizens into a paperwork nightmare, turning every voter registration into a bureaucratic tsunami of government red tape.
The SAVE Act is a voter suppression bill. That's all it is.
Wait a second. I'm not going to show it. This is a tsunami. My ID. That is the dumbest argument. That is probably the dumbest of many dumb arguments. All right, joining me now, Texas Congressman Chip Roy and Utah Senator Mike Lee, who both partnered together on the SAVE Act. Congressman Roy, what's going on here? So it's racist. It's a tsunami of paperwork. That license is okay. What's happening? What are they really trying to save?
Yeah, well, great to be on, and glad to do this bill with my good friend Mike Lee. And like, what's going on is Democrats are just playing the same playbook they always play, right? Which is to race bait, which is to say that somehow this is going to discriminate. But the truth is, when we have men and women in uniform who are giving up everything, who are laying their lives on the line to make sure that we can protect our sacred rights. And we're just saying that we're going to ask people to simply show up and demonstrate their citizenship. And so we can ensure that only American citizens vote in American elections. They turn this into this. But guess what? Today, in addition, in the House Judiciary Committee, they were throwing a fit because the President of the United States dared to put Tren de Agua members on a plane back to their home country, even though they're violent. These are people who want our country to be at the hands of violent gangs, who want our country to have illegals running the streets, who want illegals to be able to vote. Even last year, 550 people were registered to vote here in Washington, D.C. We passed a bill to end that, and Democrats refused to bring it up in the Senate. They want it. That's the reason. That's what's really going on.
That last Gallup poll on this was in October, and it was 84% of Americans supporting ID requirements to vote.
84%.
So, Senator Lee, there must be something really, really important about this that the Democrats are willing to go against the wishes of 84% of the American people.
Right. It's about survival and about placating their own base. But they can't ignore the fact that we've got 25 million non-citizens in this country. A majority of those are here illegally. A number of them are here legally. But whether you're here legally or not, you still can't vote in a U.S. election lawfully. So what do they have against this? Well, they claim falsely that this will make it more difficult for certain people to vote. It's not true. They make it the argument that this is somehow a disproportionate burden on women. It's not. This is no more difficult to register to vote with this than applying for a credit card or something like that. And look, you have to get some kind of proof of who you are to pick up a prescription, to get a hunting license, a fishing license, to do just
So they want
anything.
illegals to vote. I mean, Elon said this, he's right. I mean, I've said it for 20 years. They want illegals to vote. I mean, they wanted it in New York, and the High Court in New York, stopped them. But if they could in Seattle and Portland and in parts of California, they would have illegal aliens vote today.
Yeah, undoubtedly. Look, we want to make it easy to vote, hard to cheat. They agree with precisely half of that equation. And with the other half, they want to invite people who are not lawfully entitled to vote, and that's wrong.
Well, but importantly, they're actually registering them now in local elections. They want it to occur in federal elections. That's why Arizona is stuck with two separate systems. Because what Mike said, our laws prohibit Arizona from even being able to check citizenship in their state and for their federal election.
The other big issue, which I'm so glad both of you are here to discuss, is what's going on. Talk to Brandon about this. The nationwide injunctions.
Yeah.
I've been railing on this because I knew this was going to happen. The second he won, it was going to be speaking of tsunami of litigation. That's all they have, right? So Democrats today raged about this comment about the rogue judges. Check this out.
Our Republican colleagues have called this hearing today for one reason, because this White House, this president continues to lose over and over again in court.
Trump and his cronies have called federal judges rogue and corrupt. What I had just described is nothing less than a full-scale assault on our entire judicial system.
Don't recall that when they were beating at Brett Kavanaugh's door and screaming at the Supreme Court and all the other threats. What of this?
Look, this is an absolutely absurd series of arguments. What's really happening here is you have a small handful of judges who are taking upon themselves the powers of the presidency.
A lot of judges.
They're cosplaying as presidents. Now, and what they're really buying is time. The clock is ticking on the Trump administration. They want to run out the clock. And so they're very often styling these as TROs, temporary restraining orders, rather than preliminary injunctions. Why? Well, because if it's an injunction, then it might be immediately appealable. They want to wall this off so they can run out the clock. That's all that's happening here, and that's why we've got a lot of proposals, including my bill, the Restraining Judicial Insurrectionists Act, that would require a 3-judge panel to issue this type of injunction.
I have to ask both of you this really quickly. I've heard from high-ranking senators and congressmen that one of the real problems is Republicans won't stay over the weekends and demand that Democrats stay. The Senate's going to be off for 2 weeks in April. You don't have time to be off for 2 weeks in April. You guys...
Democrats are going to be off for 2 weeks in April. Mike Johnson just gave them another week. Are you kidding me, guys? I'm telling you. Something's wrong with Mike Johnson, and I got something else to show you in just a moment.
Should be here doing the people's business. I'm not ranting at you, but until this stuff is done, Trump's agenda cannot go down because somebody wants to, go to, St. Bart's for a couple days. I'm just being facetious here a little bit, but you have to stay in and do the people's work and make Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries stay in town.
Yeah, Laura, I couldn't agree more. That's why I was ashamed today. Unfortunately, you talked about it in your previous segment that nine Republicans joined with Democrats and ended with proxy voting, and it's shutting the House floor down. But everything you just said, look, the president is actually moving the needle. There are 158 active lawsuits against the president, 50-something TROs and injunctions. The Congress needs to act. We need to use the power of the purse.
Stay over the weekends. There are a bunch of us who work through the weekends. You guys can. I know you guys both would. And you guys want to get the job done.
I don't think we should leave till it's done.
No, absolutely. Congressman, Senator.
Guys, don't leave till it's done. Thank you so much, Della Cole, for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show Della Cole some love in the chat. Guys, let me show you. I want to show you this because it's just so sweet. You're going to love this, guys. Get your popcorn ready because this is what I love to call accountability. And guys, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support.
The problem that we have.
This is what I love is that always, I don't care. I like to do what's right. And I don't care if you're Republican. I don't care if you're Democrat. But listen to this because I'm telling you, it's always all a show.
The problem that we have right now is that if we continue down this road, then we will not have a rule of law because we have people that are currently serving and they're saying things like, ignore the judge's order. What it means to have law and order in this country is that you follow the order and you go through the appeals process, even if you dislike what the judge did. Thank you, and I yield.
And I'll yield back to Mr. Ice. You had a question for me, which I'll yield to you now if you want to.
Now that there's no time left. Thanks, Eric.
Entertainment.
You're good. You're good at that, but I'll take my own time. I'll recognize myself. And I'm going to note that when Ms. Ocasio-Cortez, or AOC as we know her, filed articles of impeachment on Justice Thomas and Alito, Ms. Crockett was one of the co-sponsors along with Mr. Cohen, both members of this committee. It does seem interesting that when the shoe is on the other foot, everyone is self-righteous. And I think this is a good example. For the last 3 hours, I have had to listen to one side talking about impeachment as though it was the nature of this hearing. It is not.
You see how he literally called her out? I'm telling you guys, we need more of that. More calling out, more of actually holding people accountable. Listen to this, because I'm telling you guys, there's some infighting right now, which is not good for the Republican Party between some of the Republican members, and it's hurting Trump's agenda, and he is so furious. Watch this. This is Anna Paulina Luna. She was one of the persons that voted against all the stuff today, and then Mike Johnson got mad and said, you know what, we're just going to cancel the rest of this week and ain't nobody going to work. She said, I am 100% supportive of Trump's agenda. It's disingenuous to lie about me or others, Speaker Johnson. Thank you at X for clarifying that Steve Scalise and Speaker Johnson did not have to send us home. I'm telling you. Look at this. Somebody fact-checked him and said the rule also killed a proposal that would let new parents in Congress vote by proxy. That's why it failed. Nothing prevents Speaker Johnson from proposing a new rule, that provision. He also does not need to pass a rule to bring up the SAVE Act. It's all, if there's like this internal deep state type of rhino-ish that's infused in this guy, and that's what I feel. I felt it last December. We're seeing signs of it now. We need a new speaker. We need somebody like Jim Jordan or John Kennedy. Somebody who's going to actually do what needs to be done, guys. I don't think that Mike Johnson is 100% in it, and I don't think that he even has the backbone to do what Trump wants him to do. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, but you go ahead, guys. I got to give you a laugh for what I'm about to show you next. Check this out.
Well, Spartacus is back, and he shattered the filibuster record. The senator, my senator actually, hey Corey, has been speaking for over 25 straight hours, and no one can figure out what he wants.
Lift every voice and sing. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. You think we got civil rights because one day Strom Thurmond, after filibustering for 24 hours, you think we got civil rights because he came to the floor one day and said, I've seen the light. Let those Negro people have the right to vote. When is it going to be enough? My voice is inadequate. My efforts today are inadequate to stop what they're trying to do. But we, the people, are powerful. We are strong. We have changed history. If you love your...
Guys, I think he's losing it. Let me know your thoughts, because I'm telling you, like, look at his eyes. If you've been on the floor for 25, I don't even know if they give him bathroom breaks. Let me check. We're gonna keep watching.
Neighbor, if you love this country, show your love.
While Spartacus was grandstanding and holding Washington hostage, his staffer got arrested for smuggling a gun into the Capitol.
Dang.
And the media didn't even care because Spartacus was on a roll. He was about to break Strom Thurmond's all-time record. Biden's segregationist buddy was filibustering the Civil Rights Act. What was Booker filibustering? We still don't know.
We don't know.
Toons trying to pass no tax on tips. I guess Booker really wants to tax those waitresses or waiters. So while Booker bloviates, the squad's training street soldiers.
Help me understand this idea of the resistance lab and what you're talking about in practical terms at these events.
Yeah, I mean, what we decided is that we really need to help Americans understand what happens when democracies fall, when dictators take over. We've developed a curriculum where we help people understand how do you go after the pillars of support, not necessarily the person at the top, but the pillars of support, also preparing them for the moments that will come of coordinated resistance, whether it's distributed action or mass action, that people need to be ready for.
Basic training includes mixing Molotov cocktails, proper car keying technique, TikTok video production, chanting, sign making, and how to grow a ponytail and brandish a cane. First, they were fighting for fraud, then for Muslim students who hate Jews. Now they're fighting for MS-13.
I call on my colleagues right now to call off the campaign to impeach federal judges for doing their jobs. I call on them to demand that the Trump administration comply with all judicial orders while appealing whichever ones they want to appeal, and to demand the return of people unlawfully taken to El Salvador on that so-called plane full of gangbangers.
Today, The Atlantic, the same outlet that accidentally broke Signalgate, came up with a real doozy. The Trump administration mistakenly deported a Maryland dad to a mega prison in El Salvador.
What they're actually doing is sweeping up people based upon their appearance.
Wow.
I think Americans, you're going to see, this is not what they signed up for. They don't want their friends and neighbors who are here legally swept up and then said, oops, we're sorry he's down at a deadly prison in El Salvador.
Are you friends with anybody in MS-13? Are your neighbors MS-13? I hope not, because if my neighbors were MS-13 and they got deported, I'd say, thanks, Homan. My family can walk the dog without being beheaded.
Wow.
The White House says this wasn't a mistake.
This individual was an MS-13 ringleader. This individual was also engaged in human trafficking. And I'm glad you brought up this point again, because I would like to point out that if you just saw the headline from the insane, failing Atlantic magazine this morning, you would think this individual was Father of the Year, living in Maryland, living a peaceful life, when that couldn't be further from the truth.
Did the Democrats call an MS-13 ringleader a Maryland dad? I think they did. Mr. Kilmore Garcia snuck into this country under Barack Obama and was arrested in 2019 in a sweep of high-ranking members of MS-13. What was a Maryland dad doing hanging out with MS-13? Oh, I know, because he's a verified member of MS-13. That's what the Department of Homeland Security designated him as. The judge thought Garcia was so dangerous, he denied him bond because he was a flight risk. Primetime reached out to Homeland Security and they said this: the individual in question is a member of the brutal MS-13 gang. We have intelligence reports that he is involved in human trafficking. Whether he is in El Salvador or a detention facility in the United States, he should be locked up. So the guy Democrats refer to as an innocent Maryland dad is actually a certified MS-13 gang member, illegal alien, and human trafficker. And he's not from Maryland. He's from El Salvador. It's like if I snuck south of the border and got arrested in Mexico City on gang charges, would Democrats call me a Mexico City dad?
Wow.
And just because you have a kid doesn't make you innocent. OJ had kids. Did Democrats call him a California dad? Actually, OJ was innocent, so maybe they did.
Ooh.
You have foreign terrorists telling judges, my life's in danger if you deport me. Well, our lives are in danger if we don't deport you. And if you're a terrorist, life's dangerous wherever you are. You chose that life, and you have to live with it. And the administration's designated MS-13 as terrorists, so they don't get the kind of due process Democrats think they do. But lawyers are going to lawyer and rack up fees. I wonder if cartels have American lawyers on retainer to keep gang members from getting deported, because that's what it seems like. These lawyers keep leaking to the media that their clients are innocent, and the media just laps it up and prints it as fact. I've heard more about terrorists being denied due process than I ever heard about Lake and Riley.
You know, it bothers me because when I think about, they don't fight this hard to get actual criminals off the streets, to actually to go against the domestic protesters that are terrorizing. Remember BLM riots? Didn't see the Democrats do anything about that. Burning down cities. Like, it is so hypocritical. They literally loved and were infatuated with Tesla and Elon Musk 3 years ago. But now that he's actually trying to put America first, figuring out all the fraud, what we're showing you on this channel, now they hate him. Now they want to tear his company down. Now, guys, and what I'm going to show you next after this, it's going to make you so infuriated, guys, because I'm telling you, people are losing it. They don't even realize what they're saying. But we're calling them out and we're showing you because I'm telling you, it's getting bad.
On the 5, Jessica's been telling me for weeks about a gay barber.
Time magazine was there when the gay barber from Venezuela who had a crown tattoo that said mom was being processed. The gay barber, we talked earlier in the week about the Venezuelan gay barber who is not in Trinidad, who's in there.
Mr. Jose Romero was actually more of a makeup artist than a barber. As usual, Jessica was a little off. Here's Jose posing with makeup brushes. Would I let this guy do my makeup? No. Because here's this guy when he was arrested. He's Tren de Agua. Again, a Latin gang that Trump designated as a terrorist organization. When Jose rolls up his sleeves, he's got double crown tattoos on his wrists, a key indicator of gang membership. Homeland Security told Primetime, quote, DHS intelligence assessments determined he is a member of the vicious gang Tren de Agua. DHS intelligence goes beyond a single tattoo, and we're confident in our findings. Do you trust Homeland Security intelligence agents who do this for a living, or Jessica Tarloff, who I love, but probably just read about this guy, Jose, in Time magazine? Primetime doesn't want to put innocent people in mega prisons. If there's a mistake, and we'll straighten it out. But the people who let 10 million migrants into this country and made 10 million mistakes, they've lost their right to chirp because their mistakes are deadly.
And an illegal alien who was released by the Biden administration into our country was just arrested in Georgia and charged with the horrific killing of Camelia Williams, a mother of 5 and grandmother. The suspect has now been indicted on charges of malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, rape, aggravated sexual battery, and necrophilia, which for those who don't know, necrophilia is a sexual obsession with a corpse. This suspect was ordered to be removed in July 2023, but the Biden administration allowed him to stay.
Wow.
Necrophilia. Democrats are going to go to bat for savages like that? Sick.
And what makes me so mad, guys, I hate it. That family will never be the same. Because the dang Biden administration couldn't do their dang jobs to make sure that these criminals were either in jail or not in our country. This is what makes me mad, is that family will never be the same. Those kids in that family, they'll never know what normal is like. But it's these disgusting Democrats who want to protect these people and they think that they're in the right. Guys, I'm telling you, this is evil type of stuff. We want to protect our people. People just want to live their lives and go and take care of their families and love their friends and do what's right. And you see this 100% is wrong. And I hope to God that not only that person is held accountable, but the people that allowed them to stay is held accountable.
Caught and released these freaks, let them prey on us in sanctuary cities, gave them all lawyers and hotel rooms, and then lied about it. Here's what a border chief said just a few months back.
I had to release illegal aliens by the hundreds each day into communities who could not support them. To quiet the problem, 2 flights a week were provided from San Diego to Texas. These flights simply brought aliens that would have been released in San Diego over to Texas. Each flight cost approximately $150,000. This was the administration's way to try and quiet the border-wide crisis. Through pressure from the administration, my headquarters became more interested in the fiction that being portrayed in the media and not at all concerned with reality. Each time we asked for help in dealing with a new issue, it fell on deaf ears. At times in San Diego, we had 2,000 or more aliens sitting in between the fences, asking to turn themselves in. I was told to move them out of sight of the media.
We spent 4 years sweeping this invasion under the rug. And now Democrats and activist judges are trying to stop us from sweeping them out of the country. These politicians pretend to have empathy, but what about empathy for us?
I'm one of the many victims across the nation of the violent transnational gang. Agua, and a former lifelong Democrat. We watched in horror as a few apartments full of migrant families quickly evolved into large groups of gun-toting, military-aged males. Open-air drug use, drug dealers, and seemingly underage prostitutes filled the common areas of the buildings. A young man, who I called my friend, was mortally wounded outside my apartment during a firestorm of bullets, causing thousands of dollars in damages to cars and surrounding properties by 6 gunmen later identified as Agua.
If someone allows wolves into our chicken coop and there's a bloodbath, they don't get to grumble about how I get rid of the wolves. Oh, that wolf you rounded up, maybe it's not a wolf. Well, it's got my chicken in between its teeth. It's a wolf, and we're getting it out of here. Now they're saying, of course, it's racist to deport terrorists.
One of my premises for the book is that every law passed before the 1965 Voting Rights Act should be presumptively unconstitutional, right? But because before the 1965 Voting Rights Act, we were functionally an apartheid country. Not everybody who lived here could vote here. So why should I give about some law that some old white man passed in the 1920s?
Old white men passed the 22nd Amendment, so if we get rid of that, Trump can run again. A majority of the country backs mass deportations. During the Iranian hostage crisis, Jimmy Carter deported thousands of Iranians. This was done on the basis of national security. What Democrats today are saying makes Jimmy Carter a racist dictator. So if Democrats want to defend the indefensible, be my guest. Have at it. Let's see how far it gets you. Oh, and let's check in on Booker one last time. He's done. He ended at 8:05. That's the record.
Guys, he just beat the record. We got to give him a round of applause for, you're supposed to filibuster whenever there's a bill or there's a vote on the floor. Well, guess what? There wasn't a bill or a vote on the floor, so he did it for nothing. Makes no sense, guys. No sense. Check this out. Trump posted, said judges are just pretending to be judges. They are making the law instead of deciding the law. Elon Musk, in other words, they are totally out of control. In complete violation of our Constitution, make America great again. Let me tell you this, guys. We are living in unprecedented times because the populists say that we want to have Trump and Trump's agenda in place. And it is very leftist rogue judges that are trying to control everybody. And I want to show you this, guys, because I'm telling you, the way that some of these leftist minds think, it makes no sense. It literally, I'm going to call it out, and whenever it happens, what you're about to see, and I'm so glad that we still got pit bulls like Judge Janine who will stand up for the truth, say what needs to be said, because it matters. Listen to this.
connect with voters to win back their trust. That's what you should be doing in the wake of an election. The Senate Democrats today are launching their Social Security war room because that's one of the main issues for the American public, that they are trying to cut Social Security, close offices, make it harder for you to be able to make your claims and get your benefits. And
right there, she literally just put out propaganda that the Trump administration and Doge are closing down Social Security offices, Medicare offices, and they're trying to make it harder for you to call in and be able to get what you need if you need any service. Right now, those systems are so antiquated, they just found somebody who's one of the biggest scammers ever, who is stealing tens of millions of dollars from Social Security and nobody knew. And all she is doing right now is throwing out propaganda. The technology that they're implementing is going to help make things more efficient, where even Elon Musk said, and mark my words, Social Security recipients will get an increase for what we are doing.
that's all to the good. But, you know, this Elon Musk is a victim thing is so crazy to me. Like, the guy's the richest man in the world, so
you see how she said that this Elon Musk is a victim thing? So let me tell you this, and this is what I would tell to Jessica. How many times today did somebody threaten to kill you? How many times today did somebody threaten to kill your family? Because that's what they're doing to Elon Musk. That's what they're doing to Trump. There's people that are literally have nooses around a doll of Trump and Elon Musk. There's people that are shooting up Tesla dealerships and calling him a Nazi, and they're literally threatening not only his life, but his family's life. So when they talk about the safety of Elon Musk, and when they talk about him being a victim of that, yes, he is. But this is all, again, propaganda that you got to watch out, guys, because it makes me so upset. But I love what you're about to see next, because when somebody stands up, they ain't got nothing to say.
Everything should be relatively comfortable. He gets to come on the #1 show on cable news, right, and chat with us.
It's more about his dealerships and the people who work for him. That's who I feel bad for.
Well, I hear a lot of
you.
No, I have been outspoken about the arson and the cocktail. Don't do it. But the American public really doesn't like what Doge is doing. The new Quinnipiac poll, 60% disapprove of how Doge is dealing with workers. 54% think Doge is hurting the country.
That's
Elon
a media
Musk,
narrative, though.
No,
that
it's
is,
not.
No, I'm saying the media narrative has driven the polling. If you lie about
you don't think that people know if they've been fired? You don't think people know that he's making millions of dollars a day off government contracts and he wants to cut their Medicaid or their Social Security? These are
he only
easy
fired
lines.
0.15%
Do you know how many people
of
that
the bureaucracy.
actually is? Have
What?
you paid do you know how many people that actually is?
No,
of the
do the
federal
math
government?
for me. How many
Give me
people
a
is that?
second.
Well, I'll give you an idea. It's not the 400,000 that Bill Clinton fired. I am so tired of saying that. Well, nobody burnt any cars. Nobody protested. Nobody resisted when Bill Clinton did the same thing.
He didn't do the same thing.
He
worked
did
with
the
Congress.
same thing. Oh, he
No.
worked with Congress? Oh,
Yes,
that's
doing
big
an
of him.
actual
That's
evaluation.
big of him.
Yes,
And in the
to pay
meantime, they
attention.
should work with Congress.
Separation
when
of powers.
Congress has allowed this for the past 15 years. That's the problem. While we pay for it. And you know what? I'm sick and tired of this Jayapal and the resistance, because the Democrats don't deal in reality. None of this thing is honest. None of it is credible. None of it is real. If you decide you want to close a Social Security office because there's no one going to it, it doesn't mean you're losing your Social Security check. Stop with the it may be this and it may be that. The bottom line is we have spent so much money that goes to other people that it doesn't go to the people it's intended to, or should be going to the people it's intended to, and nobody seems to give a damn. And that's the problem. So Jayapal can go up there and say, you know, I'm going to teach resistance, and I'm going to do it in the, what she called the principles of Dr. King and the nonviolence. Hogwash, that's a lie, because all they do is violence. And Jayapal has not once said, Don't burn a car. Don't blow up a Tesla. Don't blow up a dealership. They're all full of it. And it's all performative. And they talk about resistance, and she says America hasn't had to deal with a dictator until now. Really? This is the first time? What about the first term? Did you forget that? And the media follows the narrative. The media is saying Elon Musk is terrible, which is why Doge is not held in such high esteem. That's why now you're seeing Elon Musk.
I'm telling you guys, like, again, it's like, even on Fox, guys, you got to be careful. Across all these places, you never know. We got to hold them accountable. We got to be able to call them out, because I'm telling you this, I get so irritated when I see that they say things and they know it's not true. They know it's not happening. They can't back it up with facts, but yet they'll say it to millions and millions of people, trying to spark fear, trying to just control a narrative. And I got to show you this, guys, because I'm telling you, we're getting so much insight from our boy, Tim Burchett, my representative out of Tennessee, over what's going on with everything. Thank you so much, Judy Lynn Loving Spirit, for the super chat. Let's go. So Matthew 24:37-39 says, New King James Version, but as the days of Noah were, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. Amen. I'm telling you, things are getting crazy. Y'all show Judy Lynn some love in the chat, as well as Surgical Wizard, who said Brad is winning in Wisconsin. Let's go. And Lay Lewis, who said the Dems are in panic mode right now because President Trump and his team are trimming the thorns off of their rose bushes and making us beautiful again. Boom. Y'all show Lay some love in the chat. I'm telling you this, guys. When we get these videos like what I'm showing you, you don't see this on mainstream media, but this is what is actually happening behind the scenes. Check this out.
Everybody, Tim Burchett just leaving the House floor, and Oliver Stone and a bunch of cool witnesses are there. And we were discussing, of course, the JFK assassination, and I wanted Mr. Stone to be able to speak. He'd been very kind to me in our meetings, and he wasn't finished with all his thoughts, so I just yielded to him. And actually, his writer were on the movie JFK, and they discussed the so-called magic bullet, how it made 7 wounds and transversed up and came down, and then the bullet was largely unscarred. If you've ever shot a bullet, you know it mushrooms. That's how it causes the damage, and it was just a fairly unscathed bullet. And they found it on a gurney in the hospital. It was found, they claimed, around 7 o'clock, and it was reported around 9 o'clock. There's all these chain of evidence issues with the gun, and the actual gun they showed, and then the gun they said did fire the bullet was a different one. And it's just, this thing was a cover-up from the start, and unfortunately we'll probably never know the answer. So anyway, with all the files being dumped in our lap, we're trying to get to the bottom of it, but I suspect most of the folks that know anything are long gone. Anyway, thank y'all for sending me here. We'll keep asking questions.
You see, guys, I'm telling you, all this stuff, all the cover-ups, all the things that are happening, it is getting so deep. And now that they're trying to uncover it, there's so much that is trying to be covered up. And that's where we got to stop it. John Reppy, thank you so much for the super chat, brother. Let's go. He said, hello, Patriots. Why do they have Jessica on that show for views? God bless the judge. MAGA, baby. Let's go. Y'all show John some love in the chat. Want to say thank you to everybody who is watching, guys. Thank you for all your support to all of our subscribers. If you're not subscribed, please consider joining our family here at TrueLife News. We want to serve you with the top news every day, guys. You see, we show you things you normally don't see on mainstream media, and we want to make sure you always get the breaking news. We love you all, guys. Want to say thank you to our members of the channel. If you want to be a member, the link is in the description to join. And remember, We donate this money back to charity once a month live on stream, super chats, memberships, because we want to show you that we're more than just reporting the news. We are giving back. We're doing things different. But I do want to give some love to Elizabeth Rancor, Michelle Lindsay, Della Cole, Judy Lynn Loving Spirit, Surgical Wizard, Lay Lewis, John Reppy. Guys, y'all show them some love in the chat. If you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, we appreciate you so much for your support, guys. We are so grateful and thankful to be serving you every day. We're America first, baby. Always, always, always. And we're going to make sure you know what's actually happening and you know the truth. We love you. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.